I am going to be talking about projecting rasters, and this is going to be your first introduction to raster datasets. And as a reminder, a raster dataset is made of a matrix of cells or pixels that is organized into rows or columns. And each grid or cell represents information such as temperature, and oftentimes you see rasters as digital aerial photograph, imagery from satellites, digital pictures, or even scanned maps. So here is a data set that I am going to download. It is from the Mass.js website. It is a USGS color ortho imagery from 2013/2014. So it is from the USGS, and in most cases from USGS, the data sets are typically in UTM. So if you read right over here, under processing, it says the coordinate system for the data are UTM zone 19N. And typically with Mass.js data, it is in the state Plain, Massachusetts, but since they got the data set from USGS, they decided to keep the imagery in its native coordinate system. I already have pre-downloaded the ortho imagery just to save some time, so I'm going to go ahead and open a blank map, and I'm going to go ahead and add data. So just like vector dataset, you would select the add data just to add the raster dataset, and I have saved it in this images folder. And this is a raster dataset, and you typically can tell based on the symbology, and here it is like a yellow grid symbology. So I'm going to hit and select this and hit add. And as you can see, this aerial imagery is of Stonehill College, and I am going to go ahead and take a look at the coordinate system. So again, very similar to vector dataset, what you can do is you can right click on the layer, select properties, and again here is a source tab, very similar to the vector dataset, and this is where the projected coordinate system lives. So I just have to scroll all the way down to find it, and here under spatial reference it says XY coordinate system NAD 1983 UTM zone 19N. Now this is the coordinate system that USGS typically use, and the Mass.js website decided to keep the native coordinate system because that's what they use, but you can go ahead and convert raster datasets to any projection that you would like, just like vector dataset. And in this exercise, what I would like to do is I would love to convert this NAD 1983 UTM zone 19N into what Mass.js typically use, which is the state plane meters. So just like the vector dataset, there is a tool under data management tools, and then under projections and transformation, and then under rasters, there is a project raster. So I'm going to go ahead and double click on this. So this project raster tool looks very similar to the regular project tool. So here the first thing you're going to include is the input raster. So here I am going to go into my drop down and select the name and the layer of the imagery. So for this, in the second box, it's the input coordinate system, which is the coordinate system of your input raster. And here it is currently grayed out because what it does is it defaults it and you don't have to touch it. So here it says NAD 1983 UTM zone 19N. And then for the output raster dataset, you just have to rename it. If I click on here, it says you have to rename it, but you have to save it in a specific file format. And so that means you have to specify the file extension. And here it gives you quite a long list of different extensions. And since here it says JP2, which is the original format, what I am going to do is I am going to also save it as a JP2. And here JP2 is JPEG 2000, which is a file format for an image. So I'm going to go ahead and click on here, and I am going to name it Stonehill _SPM, which stands for State Plane Meters in Massachusetts. And then I'm going to type in .jp2. So this is the extension which I was referring to earlier, and this is the extension of the original image. So I'm just going to keep the extension as is and hit save. And then for the output coordinate system, this is where I go ahead and select the coordinate system I want it to have. So under projected coordinate system and under state plane, and in NAD 1983 in meters, I'm going to go ahead and find the Massachusetts state plane, which is this one. So NAD 1983 state plane Massachusetts, FIPS 2001 in meters, is the coordinate system that MassGIS likes to use. So I'm going to hit OK. And then I'm going to leave everything as is and hit OK. My Stonehill_SPM.jp2 is currently under my table of contents, which means that the project raster tool has successfully completed. And here you can see is my new ortho imagery with the brand new coordinate system. So if I go into Stonehill_SPM.jp2, I go into the properties, and under source, I'm going to go all the way down, and you can see now under the spatial reference, it reads NAD 1983, State Plane, Massachusetts, Mainland, FIPS 2001.